Hello students. Previously we have discussed up to here. So the name of one of the young men was Mr. Easton, who was well known to the lady, pretty young lady, because she has been his friend in the eastern part of America, that is Washington and all. And when they are at the west, so the lady complains that whether he is not going to understand or he is not going to recognize an old friend when he meets them or meets him or her in the west. After that, the young man just left up his embarrassment and be straightforward a bit. So it's Miss Fairchild, he said with a smile. So the name of the young lady, young attractive lady, woman, was Miss Fairchild. I'll ask you to excuse the other hand. It's otherwise engaged at present. Engaged? How was it engaged? It was engaged because it has been handcuffed with the other person. So that's why, please excuse me, I cannot greet you properly. I cannot greet you as usual because my other hand is quite busy at this present time. He slightly raised his right hand, bound at the wrist by the shining bracelet. Shining bracelet means the metal handcuff, to the left one of his companion. So the companion, the other guy, he had been, you can say, joined with him at his left hand, and this one, Mr. Easton, had been tucked up at the right hand. So the glad look in the girl's eyes slowly changed to a bewildered horror. Bewildered means puzzling horror. The lady was a bit puzzled. Previously, her cheeks became pink and her eyes became shining, but now it was kind of bewildered horror because she was puzzled. The glow faded from her cheeks. Her lips parted in a vague, relaxing distress. Easton, with a little laugh as if amused, was about to speak again when the other forestalled him. The glum-faced man, the name of the other person who was engaged with the shining bracelet, that is handcuff, was not given here. Here in this text, only two of them are named, like Mr. Easton, one of the person who is handsome with a handsome presence and fair countenance, and the other one is the lady whose name was Miss Fairchild. But the other person who had been handcuffed with Mr. Easton had been referred as glum-faced man, a glum-faced person. So he had been watching the girl's countenance with a veiled glance from his keen-shrewd eyes. So he has been observing the girl whose cheek has transformed. You'll excuse me for speaking, miss, but I see you were acquainted with the marshal here. So Mr. Easton is addressed as marshal. You'll ask him to speak a word for me when we get to the pen. He'll do it. Pen means not the pen that we use. The pen means here the room of the prison or something, where a thief or a criminal is going to be put. And it will make things easier for me there. He's taking me to Leavenworth's prison. That's the prison where the marshal is taking the glum-faced person probably. It's 7 years for counterfeiting. So what is the reason behind it? It's 7 years for counterfeiting. Counterfeiting means cheating, or you can say burglary, like that. So they are going to Leavenworth prison. And why? Because 7 years of imprisonment. And what is the fault that he has done? What is the crime that he has done? He has done counterfeiting. Oh, said the girl with a deep breath, and the girl was a bit relaxed. Oh, so you are a marshal. The girl asked Mr. Easton whether he is a marshal. My dear Miss Fairchild, Easton said that yes, I have to do some job because money has a way of taking wings unto itself, and you know it takes money to keep step with our crowd in Washington. Crowd means our friends, family. So it takes money and I have to earn somehow. So I have chosen the way to earn money. I saw this opening in the west, so I saw this vacancy. Opening means vacancy in the west, western part. And well, a marshalship isn't quite as high a position as that of an ambassador. Well, always wanted to be an ambassador, which is a higher post in my consideration. But okay, I have become a marshal. No problem with that. So I have got this job when I heard about the vacancy in the west. The ambassador, said the girl warmly, doesn't call anymore. The ambassador is not a good fashion. Instead, the girl is attracted towards the marshalship because to her, a marshal is way more adventurous than being an ambassador. He needn't ever have done so. You ought to know that. And so now you are one of these dashing Western heroes and you ride and shoot and go into all kinds of dangers. That's different from the Washington life. You have been missed from the old crowd. So you know that a marshal is a kind of Western hero where you ride, shoot, and do everything, every kind of danger. So it's a kind of adventure to be a marshal. That's different from the Washington life. In Washington, they have the life which is very normal, common, very safe and sound. But now you are very adventurous. The girl's eyes, fascinated, went back, widening a little to rest upon the glittering handcuffs. So the girl expressed her joyfulness, and finally again she just looked at the handcuffs and remained silent. At the next page we can see, "Don't you worry about them, miss." So when the other man saw that the girl was continuously looking after 1 or 2 minutes towards the handcuff, she just felt a bit sad, or you can say hesitated, puzzled, bewildered. So the other man, who is referred to as glum-faced person, said, "Don't worry about them, miss. All marshals handcuff themselves to the prisoner to keep them from getting away." So it's usually a habit. It's a habit. What is a habit? A marshal used to handcuff himself with a prisoner so the prisoner won't be able to get rid of him and go away from there, fly away. That's why Mr. Easton knows his business. Means here business means duty. Mr. Easton knows what to do and he knows his duty. So you should not be afraid. Will we see you again soon in Washington?" asked the girl. "Not soon, I think," said Easton. "My butterfly days are over." Butterfly days, it's a phrase which refers the days of high spirit, the days of enjoyment, the days of cheerfulness, the days of happiness. Those days are over, I fear. "I love the West." So the girl is now expressing her love towards the West. "I love the West." Her eyes were shining softly. She looked out at the car window. Car window means the window of the train. She began to speak truly and simply without gloss of style and manner. "Mama and I spent the summer in Denver. She went home a week ago because father was slightly ill. So she was not alone in Denver. Her mother was also there, but her mother has to go early because her father, who is a bit sick, slightly sick. I could live and be happy in the West. I always wanted to be happy in the West. I think the air agrees with me." Air means atmosphere. Atmosphere agrees with me. The environment is quite suitable for me. Money isn't everything, but people always misunderstand things and remain stupid. But what to do? Those people always remain stupid. And they always try to run behind the money. But I think comfort and well-being is the most important thing in our life, rather than money. "Say, Mr. Marshall," growled the glum-faced man, "this isn't quite fair. I am needing a drink and I haven't had a smoke all day." So the glum-faced person said to Mr. Easton that, "Mr. Marshall, if you are going to waste so much time with chatting with a lady, then it's not fair, because I need a drink right now and I haven't had a smoke all day." Means I haven't smoked a cigarette or everything all day. "Haven't you talked long enough? If you have talked long enough, then let's go. Take me into the smoker now, won't you? I am half dead for a pipe." Pipe means an instrument through which one can smoke. The bound travelers rose to their feet, Easton with same slow smile on his face. Bound travelers because they are bound together. "I can't deny a petition for tobacco," he said. He said that I cannot deny a petition, a request for tobacco. "It's the one friend of the unfortunate. Goodbye, Miss Fairchild. Duty calls, you know." He held out his hand for a farewell. So then he said goodbye. It's too bad you are not going east. Means it's bad that you are not going to the east. Reclothing herself with manner and style. So she just became properly dressed and became very formal. But you must go on to Leavenworth, I suppose. I think you have to go to Leavenworth. Otherwise, it would be a big problem. Yes, said Easton. I must go on to Leavenworth. I must go to Leavenworth. That's why I cannot go right now to the east. Do I want that? The two men settled down the ale into the smoker. Smoker is a room where you can smoke. One is allowed to smoke, because in railway, anyone cannot smoke anywhere. It's there is a room which is only kept for those who want to smoke. So they went towards the smoker. The two passengers in a seat nearby had heard most of the conversation. Now these two passengers we have seen for the first time. We are seeing for the first time. So this is the two passenger. These are the two passengers who were sitting nearby seat, and said one of them, that Marshall's a good sort of chap. So that Marshall is very well. He knows his duty. Some of these Western fellows are all right. So these Western fellows, some of them are really good at their work. Pretty young to hold an office like that. So pretty young to hold an office means a position like that. To be a marshal, don't you think he is pretty young? Young, exclaimed the first speaker. Why? Oh, didn't you catch on? So you didn't know who is the actual marshal? Did you ever know an officer to handcuff a prisoner to his right hand? It's normally a duty. It's a protocol to wear handcuff in the left hand, who is a marshal. So a marshal usually handcuff himself with the left hand, and the prisoner was kept or was handcuffed in his right hand. Here Mr. Easton wore the handcuff at his right hand, while the glum-faced person held or caught the handcuff in his left hand. So definitely the marshal is the glum-faced person, and the thief is Mr. Easton. But then you can think that why didn't he expose? He didn't expose the fact that because Mr. Easton would feel embarrassed in front of the lady who is an old acquaintance of him. That's why the glum-faced man didn't reveal the actual secret. It's Mr. Easton who had been caught for counterfeiting and who is going to spend the rest of 7 years in Leavenworth prison, while the glum-faced person, being a marshal, was very kind to not expose or not reveal that thing before the lady, Miss Fairchild. But these two poor passengers who were sitting nearby, they knew it very well that Mr. Easton happened to be the prisoner, and the glum-faced person would definitely be the marshal. So that's the twist at the end. I hope you would understand. Let me know if any problem remains. Thank you.